Hello everyone, my name is Zhuang Wubing. I'm a writer who makes photographs, publications, and exhibitions. I'm sorry, ideally I would have liked to be with all of you today, but unfortunately I'm away. So Kelvin asked me to make this video. As we all know, today we are at Zontiga to celebrate the launch of Kelvin Ah Kian's first photo book, The Promised Bridge. Kelvin is from Sabah, working now in an architecture firm in Singapore. I met him more than a decade back when he was still in Labuan. In 2014, Jebat, an energetic organizer of photography events in Sabah, hosted me for a 6-day photo project workshop at Kota Kinabalu, KK. The workshop took place at the state-run Arena Balia, a space dedicated to youth activities. A few of the participants who were not based in KK, including myself, stayed at the dorm attached to the space, giving the workshop the feeling of a school camp, which made it quite collegial and unforgettable. I guess we were all still quite young at that point in time. Kelvin was a participant of the workshop. He was then at the start of his journey to better understand his hometown of Labuan. I don't remember this anymore, but apparently before the start of the workshop, I was already working with him to craft his workshop proposal. It was a writing process that was quite painful for him, and he wrote about it in his blog. The workshop also marked his decision to photograph the shorelines of Labuan using a medium format film camera. I think the film format allowed him to slow down his shooting process and to think more carefully in terms of what he wanted to achieve in the work. He stayed with us for a few days at Arena Balia, turning our toilet into his temporary darkroom and making it stink of his chemicals. The photographs that he shot for the workshop became the first images of his project, The Promised Bridge. After the workshop, we kept in touch. Kelvin moved to KL to pursue his Master of Architecture at University of Malaya. At some point in time, he stayed in Penang, and I remember meeting him in 2017 when Penang Institute and Gerak Budaya hosted me for a talk at Georgetown. What I want to say here is that the years that Kelvin spent away from Labuan helped Kelvin gain the time and distance to better understand his sense of home and belonging. It probably helped to sharpen his vision in terms of creating the images that form the work, as he would continue to shoot whenever he revisited Labuan. At the height of the pandemic, Kelvin joined an online short course with me to begin writing the project introduction to his project. The title probably comes from that time and references the unfulfilled promise made by politicians on the campaign trail to build a bridge connecting mainland Sabah and Labuan Island. A campaign pledge that resurfaces at every election cycle only to be forgotten. So in that way, the title quite nicely captures the state of limbo between developing Labuan and weaning it away from its reliance on the oil and gas industry and keeping the island as it is. In 2022, Kelvin started to broach the idea of turning the work into a photo book. By then, he had moved to Singapore for work. It seems to me that his career trajectory and marriage life would mean that he would be taken further away from his hometown, Labuan, giving his work an added poignancy. So I began to help him plan for the photo book, laying out the production details, pointing out the less obvious uh, details in terms of the production process, which would of course impact his overall cost. However, throughout the process, Kelvin has the final say. I merely pointed out the different possibilities to him. I think my main contribution is in the sequencing of the photo book. I create 4 loosely structured sections to house his photographs. The point where a section ends and the other section begins is kept quite unclear. So, in describing the process here, I do not aim to compromise your very individualized experience of reading the photo book. However, for those of us who want a kind of light touch entry point to the photo book, the first section should give us a sense of the time and place of Labuan's alluring coastlines. The second section references the goals of the unfulfilled bridge, leaving Labuan and mainland Sabah unconnected, at least for now. In the third section, I hope to evoke the quandary that haunts Labuan, highlighting the previous desires to develop the island and juxtaposing those images with photographs that hint at the fallout of development. The last section imagines Kelvin looking back at his hometown, which is tied to his coming of age years. It is a backward gaze marked by time, distance, and a sense of nostalgia. The working process began when Kelvin sent me the bulk of his photographs. After being with his photographs for several weeks and taking a few long walks, I designed the 4 sections of the photo book, based primarily on Kelvin's project introduction. I sent him the first draft and conveyed to him the logic of my decision. We sat on the edit for several weeks or perhaps several months before reworking it gradually, going back and forth, tweaking the sequence until the version you see now in your hands. After that, Kelvin looked for a printer that could fulfill the job within his budget. I think we're quite happy to locate a local printer in KL, and hopefully the pricing and quality would encourage more Malaysian creatives to consider producing their photo books in Malaysia. Finally, I would like to urge all of you to join me in congratulating Kelvin for making his first photo book a reality. I would also like to urge all of you to take good use of the launch discount and buy a few copies of the photo book for yourself and also for your friends. I would like to stress that the photographers are not the only agents in the photo book ecology. The health of the photo book community is very much down to the likes of Zontiga as a photo book store, and also to the support of photo book buyers like yourself. And the photo book store and the photo book buyers are actually key components of the health of the photo book ecology. So I strongly urge all of you to support Kelvin's first photo book and join me in congratulating him for taking the process of making it a reality. With that, I would like to say thank you to all of you.